there's one island that has like this crazy hole in the ground that was made by pirates. There's a television show about it. You know what I'm talking about?
The Curse of Oak Island.
Joe Rogan was mid-sentence when he suddenly stopped. Not for dramatic effect, not for a joke. He just stared at the images in front of him and said quietly, "This shouldn't even be possible." What had just been pulled from beneath Oak Island wasn't treasure. It wasn't pirate gold or lost riches. It was something that challenged the timeline of history itself. Something buried so deep, so deliberately concealed, that experts had sworn for years the area was nothing but empty ground. For over 200 years, Oak Island has been dismissed as a legend, a fool's errand, a story that refuses to die. Generations have searched, millions have been spent, and time after time, the island seemed to give nothing back. Until now. Because what surfaced this time doesn't just rewrite the Oak Island mystery. It forces historians to confront a far bigger question. Who had the knowledge, the technology, and the reason to hide something this significant at such impossible depths? And if the professionals were so certain there was nothing there, what else have we been wrong about? Stay with me, because once you hear what was actually discovered, the Oak Island mystery will never look the same again. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what comes next. 200 years. That's how long the world has waited. For over 2 centuries, Oak Island, located off the coast of Nova Scotia, has stood as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries on the planet. An 80-acre patch of land that swallowed fortunes and nearly claimed lives, all centered around one legendary location, the so-called Money Pit. It all began back in 1795, when a young man noticed a strange depression in the soil. That small detail ignited a multi-generational obsession. Excavations over the years uncovered something bizarre. Layers of oak logs, charcoal, and other materials placed at exact 10-foot intervals, descending deep underground. It didn't look natural. It looked engineered, deliberate, as if someone had gone to extreme lengths to hide something important. And the island fought back. Flood tunnels, brilliantly designed, would unleash seawater into the shaft whenever diggers got too close. Time after time, the searchers were pushed back. It was as if the island itself refused to give up its secret. Until now. A breakthrough so significant reportedly caught the attention of Joe Rogan, a voice that carries enormous influence in the world of unexplained phenomena. This wasn't another minor relic. This was the turning point. After years of drilling and high-tech scanning around the Money Pit, the team from the Curse of Oak Island identified a massive metallic anomaly nearly 160 feet below the surface. What most people don't realize is that modern technology has finally reached a level capable of matching the island's ancient defenses. Using advanced borehole cameras, they didn't just find an empty cavity. They captured something unmistakable. The shape of a constructed barrier. A sealed hatch. Reaching it was a nightmare. Mud, rushing water, and crushing pressure made every inch a struggle. But they persisted. Eventually, a specialized probe confirmed the unimaginable. Beyond that hatch was a chamber, sealed off for centuries, and it wasn't empty. Preliminary scans revealed shapes inside, large ones, chests. The moment that confirmation came through, the treasure-hunting world erupted. This was the culmination of 200 years of belief, sacrifice, and relentless determination. Inside the chamber were reportedly 3 enormous chests, astonishingly well preserved. They contained vast amounts of gold and silver coins, not crude pirate currency, but pieces far older and more refined. Yet the real shock wasn't the wealth. Alongside the coins were artifacts and coded scrolls, objects bearing ritual markings, and among them, a symbol that has fueled speculation for generations, the cross associated with the Knights Templar. For years, the Templar connection was treated as fringe theory, an entertaining idea with little proof. But if these reports are accurate, that theory may have just stepped into the realm of reality. And if that's true, then Oak Island was never just about treasure. It was about history rewritten. The scrolls themselves are perhaps the most baffling element of all. Wrapped in what appears to be treated leather, they're covered in symbols and writing that no expert has been able to clearly identify. With that single detail, Oak Island stops being just a treasure hunt and suddenly becomes an archaeological site of global consequence. Gold can be weighed and valued, but the knowledge locked inside those scrolls, that's beyond price. This moment didn't happen by accident. It's the result of relentless determination. The Lagina brothers refused to walk away when so many others had. They combined historical research with modern technology, peeling back the island's secrets layer by layer. And along the way, there were signs most people dismissed. The lead cross, coconut fibers that didn't belong there, strange stone alignments. In hindsight, those weren't random discoveries. They were breadcrumbs, quietly pointing to this exact location. What this breakthrough truly validates isn't just one team's efforts, but everyone who ever believed the Oak Island mystery was real. The debate has shifted. The question is no longer if something was hidden here, but why? And that answer may be far more complex than anyone imagined, because this discovery isn't an ending. It's the opening chapter of a much larger story, a story that begins with an escape from Europe. The reported discovery of artifacts tied to the Knights Templar deep within a sealed chamber is more than sensational. It potentially confirms one of history's most enduring theories. For decades, researchers have speculated that the Templars, a wealthy and powerful order of warrior monks, used Oak Island to conceal their riches and sacred knowledge. Now, with physical evidence allegedly in hand, that idea has exploded into mainstream discussion, drawing intense interest from thinkers like Joe Rogan, who is famously drawn to secret societies and hidden power structures. But to understand why the Templars might choose such a remote island, you have to look at how their story nearly ended. The Knights Templar rose to prominence during the Crusades, growing over 2 centuries into one of the most influential organizations on Earth. They pioneered early banking systems, controlled fleets of ships, and accumulated extraordinary wealth. Eventually, their power became a threat. In 1307, Philip IV of France, deeply indebted to the order, conspired with the Pope to destroy them. On a single coordinated day, Friday the 13th, thousands of Templars were arrested, and the order was effectively dismantled. Yet one mystery has never been solved. Their treasure was never found. Not the gold, not the relics. It simply vanished. This is where the Oak Island theory gains real momentum. Many historians believe part of the Templar fleet escaped the purge, sailing from the French port of La Rochelle with their wealth and sacred artifacts aboard. Where they went has always been the question. Some suggest Portugal, others Scotland. But Oak Island proposes something far more radical, a transatlantic voyage centuries before Christopher Columbus. The discovery of the lead cross in Smith's Cove, with its French origin and pre-Columbian dating, was the first major clue. Now, with a chamber reportedly bearing Templar markings, the case becomes dramatically stronger. And then there's the island itself. Oak Island is almost perfectly suited for concealment. It's isolated, defensible, and its geology allows for deep, stable shafts. The money pit wasn't dug randomly, it was engineered. Flood tunnels, layered construction, and long-term durability point to advanced knowledge and enormous resources. This isn't the work of pirates. It aligns far more closely with an organization like the Templars, renowned for their architectural and engineering brilliance seen in Europe's great castles and cathedrals. They weren't just hiding valuables, they were safeguarding a legacy. That intent appears everywhere on the island, from boulders arranged in cross-like patterns to the intricate flood systems beneath the ground. None of it is accidental. It all suggests a unified design, a master plan meant to last for centuries. This is the angle voices like Rogan would likely emphasize: the staggering level of human intelligence, coordination, and purpose behind it all. The treasure wasn't simply buried, it was sealed away with almost ceremonial care. And that changes everything. Because this discovery doesn't just suggest the Templars were here, it implies they considered this island sacred, a final refuge, a sanctuary for their most guarded truths. If that's true, the implications are enormous. It would mean a European order reached North America more than 150 years before Columbus, possessing navigational skill and global awareness that completely rewrites the historical timeline. And we may only be at the beginning of understanding it. The gold? That's just a side note. The real treasure is the proof. Evidence that an entire chapter of history may have been deliberately concealed. And the most shocking part? We might only be at the very beginning of uncovering it. If the connection to the Knights Templar is truly confirmed, then this isn't just a breakthrough, it's the opening of a completely new era in the Oak Island mystery. A story not just about wealth, but about ancient influence and hidden power. The discovery of a sealed chamber on Oak Island doesn't just raise the question of who buried something there. It forces us to rethink how it was done. For years, many clung to the romantic idea of pirates burying a chest of loot. But the money pit refuses to fit into that simple narrative. Its construction is so complex, so deliberate, that it defies the idea of a hurried stash. And that's the kind of detail someone like Joe Rogan would zero in on immediately. There's a massive difference between digging a hole and tossing in a box, and engineering an underground stronghold designed to resist recovery for centuries. Because the money pit isn't just a pit. It's a masterpiece of ancient engineering. Think about what it took. The original shaft reportedly reached depths beyond 160 feet, cut through dense glacial till, a brutal mix of clay, sand, and stone that's challenging even for modern machinery. To accomplish that by hand centuries ago would require a disciplined workforce, advanced planning, and serious resources. And then there's the precision. Every 10 feet, layers of heavy oak logs were carefully placed in perfect alignment. These weren't random supports. They were strategic barriers, built to exhaust and frustrate anyone trying to break through. A psychological and physical defense system built right into the design. But the true genius lies in the flood tunnels. Investigations suggest that man-made channels connect the money pit to Smith's Cove. These tunnels functioned like a trigger system. Once diggers reached a certain depth, seawater would surge in, instantly flooding the shaft. To design something like that requires precise calculations, angles, pressure control, structural reinforcement capable of resisting the ocean's force. That's advanced hydraulic engineering, and it's not something we typically associate with a pre-industrial era. Even more astonishing, the builders appear to have weaponized the island's own geography. The ocean itself became their final line of defense. At Smith's Cove, researchers uncovered an artificial beach layered with box drains and coconut fiber filters, materials not native to Nova Scotia. That detail alone suggests access to long-distance trade networks, something far beyond the capabilities of a rogue pirate crew. This wasn't a small operation. It was industrial in scale. A mind like Rogan's would likely be fascinated by that forgotten sophistication. How did these builders possess such knowledge? Was this level of expertise common within secretive organizations like the Templars, who were renowned for constructing cathedrals and fortresses across Europe? Or does it hint at something even more unsettling? A lost stream of technological knowledge erased from the mainstream record? Because at its core, the money pit isn't just about hidden treasure, it's about hidden understanding. The system is so effective, so cleverly deceptive, that it has protected its contents for generations. And the existence of a sealed chamber suggests the builders weren't only experts in hydraulic traps, they also mastered preservation, shielding what lay inside from the very water they used as protection. Which brings us back to the scrolls. If a major Templar vault has truly been confirmed, this isn't the end of a treasure hunt. It's the beginning of historical upheaval. The implications ripple outward through archaeology, academia, and our shared sense of the past. It's exactly the kind of paradigm-shifting revelation that fascinates voices like Joe Rogan, because it forces us to confront how much of our accepted timeline might be incomplete. For centuries, the dominant story has been clear. European contact with the Americas began in 1492 with Christopher Columbus. Any earlier voyages were often brushed aside as speculation. But if Oak Island truly holds a Templar vault dating back to the 13th or 14th century, that timeline fractures. It would mean a highly organized European order crossed the Atlantic and established a sophisticated operation in North America more than a century before Columbus. That single shift would rewrite textbooks. It would transform the Templars from a European phenomenon into a global one. And then there are the encrypted scrolls, the true prize. While headlines focus on gold, those writings may hold the deeper secret. What do they contain? Lost theology? Suppressed philosophy? Scientific concepts guarded as heresy? Some theories claim the Templars preserved ancient knowledge inherited from Middle Eastern civilizations, ideas considered too dangerous for the medieval church. If those scrolls are ever decoded, they could reveal a worldview intentionally erased from history. Joe Rogan's curiosity might spotlight the mystery, but it only scratches the surface of what this discovery represents. Yes, treasure may have been found, but the real enigma is just beginning. What truth were they so determined to protect? If you want to dive deeper into the secrets history tried to bury, make sure you like and subscribe.